This is Amanda Doughty, and you are listening to Me, Myself, and I Radio.
Welcome to Me, Myself, and I Radio, a self-discovery podcast. Here are stories of transformation and hope with your host, Anthony Hayes. It's time to be inspired. Let's go.
Gotta get up, it's early morning. Drank so hard last night, my lids are swollen. Got my guitar, gotta get to a studio. Got a track and I think it's gonna hit, yo. It's been so many years and there's been so many tears, and it's gonna be well worth the pain, see, when all my people line up to see me. Cause I got no money, got no home.
If you enjoyed that introduction song, that is Lovestruck Robot coming through again with the tunes, this time with Do It All for the Dream. Head on over to lovestruckrobot.com or download that on iTunes right now. Good morning, good afternoon, hip hip hooray, me, myself, and I Radio Tribe. I got another amazing personality, a fellow podcaster. My co-pilot on today's self-discovery journey is also a beer enthusiast, which I know we're going to talk a lot about, and considering my background in sales, I can relate. She hosts a Great Beer Adventure. It's a podcast that examines the stories behind the craft brewing industry. Amanda Doughty, let's get into Me, Myself, and I, shall we?
Let's do it.
So, just so everybody knows, well, I've actually talked about this in the past, but I attended my first conference ever, let alone first podcasting conference in September, and that's actually when I met Amanda. And she was just so cool. She came in, she had like her backpack and her microphone with her mic flag, and it said Great Beer Adventure, and she had a little holder to hold her beer bottle. I mean, she was just too cool, and I'm so grateful to be able to have you here today on the show. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much. Did you forget to mention the cooler in the back of the van? I always travel with beer.
Yes, I know, but I don't want the authorities to think you're drinking and driving, so I was going to leave that out.
No, it's way in the back. It's in the cooler. I'm not Stretch Armstrong. I can't reach back there while I'm driving.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I used to work for a beer company, so when you said that you had a beer podcast and stuff, I was like immediately intrigued because the craft industry in general is just completely blown up. I mean, there's people making beer in their basement. It's nuts, right? And there's so many different types of beers out there. I don't even think people realize like how many there are.
Oh yeah, it's definitely changed a lot since even I got into beer. It's fabulous seeing all the creativity.
Yeah, I actually, when I was working for the beer company, we entered the Samuel Adams competition that they have every year, where you brew your own beer and then they select a beer from the people who submit it. And we worked in teams at the beer distributor that I worked at to brew our own batch of beer, and we sent it in. We didn't win, obviously. Yeah, it was surprisingly good. Like when we were putting it together, we went shopping in the grocery store, and I'm just grabbing stuff off the shelves. I'm like, let's put this in there. Let's put this in there. And it was all right. Actually, it actually wasn't bad. Just the whole process to do it was actually a really cool experience, and it was good for team building too. You know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a huge community around beer, and that's actually one of the things that I really love about it. I kind of feel like beer and podcasting in general have definitely helped me find my place in the world.
Cool.
Which is kind of weird to say.
No, not at all.
It definitely, when I get sad and stuff, I write a lot of poems and poetry. It's not good poetry, but it is poetry of some sort. And I find myself often talking about, the beer community and podcasting communities as kind of a respite and a
Like a
an
sanctuary.
island. Yeah, an island on a rough sea where you can go and feel like you're part of it.
That's so cool. I love that. And I can appreciate that too. I have written for many, many years, and I actually wasn't going to, but I included, I think, like 3 poems in my book that I just published. And it was just one of those things that it was just a little extra piece of who I was that I felt it was kind of necessary, even though, it wasn't based on, it wasn't a book of poems or anything, but just to be able to include that, because it's such a, writing is such, for me at least personally, it's a very therapeutic process, and it's definitely helped me along my self-discovery process. So it's nice to hear that you share similar interests. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, very much so. Art and writing and being creative are ways that I use those as therapy almost for myself quite often.
Yeah, me too.
I've dealt with depression and stuff along the way, so it's a way that I can I don't know, make my, like, get it all out. It's like pouring out all of these emotions that I don't want to hold on to. And
yes, to just purge.
yeah. And I think that's really part of why I love the beer industry and I love podcasting, is because both of them are very, very creative. And also, there are so many awkward people in both brewing and podcasting. I am such an awkward person myself. I tell people very, very honestly, I am so uncomfortable being at this event right now. And more often than not, somebody will say, me too. And it's a great way to actually, one, not feel like you have to perform, because so often when we're at events, you feel like you have to, like, you're on stage, even if you're not up on the stage, you feel like you are, because you're there and you have to do all this networking and get to know everybody, and it's wonderful, but you kind of feel like you have to perform.
Yeah,
and
it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. So I totally am the type of person that I will just tell people straight up, yeah, I am freaked out right now beyond belief. And quite often you'll find somebody else that is in that same boat as you. And so, yeah, very much been honest with everybody that I come into contact with, and it's worked out amazingly well.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. I appreciate that, being able to be so blunt. I think, I know personally that's been a big struggle of mine, to just come out and say stuff, because I'm always thinking about how I'm going to word it, what it's going to sound like after it comes out of my mouth, how it's going to be received. So I over process everything. I think being able to just to be honest and just be like, hey, like, this is who I am, is something a lot of people probably share in common. So I don't really think that's too far off. But when you speak of awkward podcasts, I hope that this doesn't make that top list. And if it is, I hope it's towards the bottom side of things, and not at number 1 spot. I hope we're like 7 or something. I could deal with 7 most awkward podcasts. I'd be good with that.
No, definitely not podcasters. Like, I mean, okay. I know, you know what I mean? Like, as a person, I know I'm an odd duck. Like, I will let my freak flag fly. And I think that's what's wonderful about podcasting, is that you can, because there are so many other people that share that same flag as you. And, they're like, yeah, look, there's my podcast. That's the one that, is for me, because you find other people that are just, maybe they're polka dotted yellow ducks as well. And they're just looking for another polka dotted yellow duck, and you happen to be that person. So
I love that. Did you just come up with that?
I mean, I always feel like I'm an odd duck, and so yeah, it's who I am.
That is so funny. I'm gonna grab that quote and put it in the show notes, because that is awesome. Thank you for that.
Oh, well, it's just the truth. I mean, we're all, even the people that play it as being so cool, calm, and collected. No, come on, nobody's really that put together.
Who are you fooling?
Exactly. Why are you pretending to be on stage right now and just playing the part? Just be yourself. You'll find other people. There's Tina Dietz. She was at the podcast conference with her, and
Yeah.
I think she says she's a purple squirrel.
Oh.
Yeah. So, she can collect all her purple squirrels. I'll collect all my blue polka dotted ducks, and we can yellow polka dotted. I don't even know. Green.
Very
You can
cool.
be any rainbow color polka dotted duck and come hang out with me. Even
I
if you
love
don't
that.
like beer.
That's so cool. And there's other
I'll
things.
teach you how if you don't like it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just in the short time we hung out, you brought me up to speed on a couple of things, and I know we tasted some of the stuff you brought from Maine, so that was fun. That was a lot of fun. But there's other similarities and stuff. Being a parent,
Yes.
I know is something that you share. Well, I share with you, but also with a lot of our other listeners and stuff like that. So, how do you juggle this mom slash podcaster slash beer enthusiast? Like, where does all that passion, like, how does it come to being?
Well, so like I mentioned, I've been dealing with depression for goodness, more than all of my adult life. Started in high school, and way back in the day, actually, I always felt like whenever I was stuck in depression, it felt like I was in this deep, dark hole and I couldn't find the ladder to get out, and there was no hands reaching down to help me out. It was just, I was stuck.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well.
Right? Since then, I've learned that that's not the case. There's just the way my brain processes things. It's wrong. Often if something's not going right, I'll kind of have like, not voices in my head, because that's not exactly right, but two trains of thought, like
Gotcha.
the depressed train of thought being like, this is horrible, everything's horrible, it's never going to get better, and then the part that has grown from there, that train of thought being like, yeah, it'll pass. So my depression actually shows itself differently now, and it comes off as very stressed. So unfortunately, right now I'm when I get like that, it's not fair to my two little beautiful children. But I'm working on it, and that's something that I truly feel like it sets me apart, is that I'm always working on trying to better myself and for my girls. I've got two little girls that have a mom that deals with depression and anxiety, and a dad that has his own stuff going on. And so dang well that they're going to have something going on too. So I'm trying my best to give them resources and give them somebody to look up to, so that they can say, yeah, maybe mom wasn't always in the best mood, but she was always trying to get better.
No doubt.
And you're right. There's a lot of slashes, in his podcasting / beer / this / that. But I when I can, I try to have them go with me. I mean, they don't go to any podcasts where I'm recording because they're 2 and 5. They're not good at being quiet. But
yeah.
But if there's a brewery opening, yeah. So I mean, they're not great at being quiet when you're trying to record an audio. But when there's a brewery opening or there's some place where I can have them be around, I bring them with me. There are a lot of events I don't go to because they need to be more important than all of the million of beer events that happen. And to that same thing, I do work from home. I work with another one of your current guests, Jessica Rhodes, for Interview Connections. I book guests, and I have specific hours when the girls are not in the house so that I can work on that. So when they are here, I'm not working on that because I'm not the type of person that can multitask in that kind of way and be a work at home mom at the same exact time. And that's actually why I got into the beer podcast. I was a teacher. I was a math teacher.
Oh.
Yeah. But when it was time for child number 2 to go to daycare as well, I was going to be bringing home $3,000 for the entire school year. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't spend 70 hours a week, because really, when you get done with it all, there's about 70 hours a week, and I'm paying somebody else to watch my kids. I don't get to see them. I'm always preoccupied, and I'm only bringing home a stipend at the end of the year. Like, I can't do that. So I also knew that I was a horrible stay-at-home mom. No, it's not it's the truth. I love being creative with my girls. I always thought I was going to be really love playing, but I don't actually like playing. I can probably play with a dollhouse for 5 minutes before I'm like, all right, are we done with this yet?
Yeah.
That's not my style. And then, I know that. And when I'm with them, I want it to be good times. We could be together all the time, but we would just be so sick of each other that, I love them so much, and I know it sounds bad, but I just know with the way,
but I think it's great that you do include them in those ventures and stuff like that. That's, they're going to remember that stuff. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I try to make sure the time we are together is very quality filled, and I do my best to be as present. So I try to leave my cell phone not near me. As podcasters, we're always trying to grow our audiences, and social media is a big part of that. But I try to put it away, and when I'm with them, I try to be with them.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I found that, and it kind of sounds like something similar that you've experienced. I found that with the depression, because I also suffer from depression, that when I had Violet, she pushed me to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, I've been able to take care of her as well as myself a lot better too. So there'll be times where, I don't want to. I just can't. I guess I can't daddy today, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'll just kind of want to lay low and maybe watch some movies with her or whatever. But then we're watching the princess movie, and guess what? They're at a ball. The princess is dancing. Daddy, you have to dance with me. So she'll grab me by the hand and she'll make me dance with her. And it's like times like that I'm thankful, because she's probably the world's best antidepressant.
Yeah. When I also dealt with a lot of body image issues, and those pretty much, I'm still always trying to get myself to a weight that I want to be at, but I look at my body differently now. Since having my two children, they were both 9.5 pounds. The fact that my body could make those and do that is just crazy to me.
It's unbelievable, that whole process, being there for that, and just seeing, I've such a bigger appreciation for women that, it's it was crazy. I don't know how that guys couldn't do it. Guys could not have a baby. There's no way. We're big baby. We are wusses when it comes to pain.
Well, I do agree that there are often times that you are big wusses, as you say, but I don't agree with the fact that you couldn't have kids. If our bodies were set up that way, it's just so crazy, what you can do. I never thought that I could do that. And I went in and I had 2 9.5-pound babies without drugs. And it was the worst time I have ever had in my whole life. And I asked them to just stop and leave them where they were a number of times, and just tried to give up, but they wouldn't let me. But after, it was like a badge of honor. I think you have to push yourself. And I think that if men were in that same situation, they would push themselves as well. I don't know. Everybody always says men could never do this. And
you haven't been with me when I've had the flu. It's forget it. I'm dying of a disease. So,
well, no, I've seen that piece. Out there. But I've seen that before. Not you, but I've seen that a number of places. But I really do think that we all can rise to the occasion that we need to be at. And I definitely feel more whole. I definitely feel like before I met my husband, I had my children, there were pieces of me that are missing. And I feel now, there's a poem I wrote that actually kind of, it felt like I was collecting all the pieces, and now I've put everything back together. And even if you glue everything back together into the place where it's supposed to be, there's still cracks. So I feel like the cracks are what I'm dealing with now, but at least I'm a full vessel. And
Wow, I love that.
it's just, you know, it can be very trying. And some days I am some days I'm definitely a better mom than other days. But they definitely, you know, they fixed me. Not
Yeah.
100% because there's a lot of things that were broken before, but I definitely feel more whole now.
But you're making progress, and you're, every day you're discovering more of yourself that you didn't know existed. And that's something
Yes.
that's what we try to tell everybody that's listening is just, no matter where you are, there's going to be obstacles. No matter who you are,
Mhm.
there's going to be circumstances. But if we could learn, one thing from somebody else's struggles and just know that, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. I think that that's a powerful message. And there's so many, well, with me personally, there's so many things I could relate to your story, and I can only assume that there'll be other people listening that are also cling on to that. But just to hear that evolution, those elements, those me, myself, and I elements that we always talk about, to know the Amanda that we know today is it's so great. I'm thankful that you're here today with us. So
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely not something where I feel like I've got it mastered. I'm working on it.
oh yeah,
There's definitely still times in my life where you were talking earlier about like being blunt, and it's not quite like that. It's I find that sometimes I am too blunt and I don't realize I've misstepped in a social situation, but I take responsibility if I've done something wrong and I try to make amends for it, because you cannot just go around and be completely honest with everyone all the time. You can't, because sometimes they're wearing a shirt that just does not look good. They know it. They feel awkward. And if you go like, "Oh, that shirt does not hit you in the right places,"
like
they're gonna be like, "I know,
what were you
right?
thinking when you put on that tie-dye sweater this morning?
Right." And they're gonna be like, "I know. I've been worried about this all day, and now you just made me feel so much worse about it that other people have noticed how bad it is." So
Yeah.
no, don't just be blunt and honest, but be truthful about how you're feeling. Like, I feel like, why did I put on this tie-dye sweater this morning? Like, why did I do that? And
Oh,
so that would be something I would own up to, but I wouldn't ask somebody else why they did it. And I do make mistakes. I make loads of mistakes, but I always just try to take ownership for it and apologize when I'm wrong and try to make it better if I can.
yeah, and that's all we can do is just be mindful, because everything we do in life is a constant learning curve. You can read all the books you want, you can, but there's only so much that you can learn, and basically it's a continuous evolution every single day, and everybody has their own journey in this this crazy world. But along the way, would you say that there were some resources or something that kind of helped you to discover yourself today?
Well, I think really it's not so much a resource, but really a trait that I have found that has helped me through a lot of things, and it's I refuse to give up. There's so many people out there that just lack perseverance, and because of that, all they can do is complain about the things that they don't like, and instead of keep trying and try to make it better, do something about it.
I love that.
I don't like the way I look. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to exercise more, which has so many added benefits for me. If I get myself up in the morning and I can, move my body, the endorphins start moving too, and I feel happier. Also, I'm working on getting my body in a better shape. So maybe next time I wear the tie-dye sweater, it'll look better. But
you're right.
keep
Just
trying.
Yeah, I love
Always keep trying, no matter
Mhm.
what. And yeah, I think that that's really the most important thing, is just never ever give up. Yeah, you might have royally messed up today. You probably should not have eaten that triple layer cake with ice cream on the top and the side of it. I know, you probably shouldn't have, but it's okay. Try better tomorrow.
I literally have an entire cake in my fridge. It was somebody's birthday the other night, and after I get off with you, I'm going to go eat a piece of cake.
That sounds delicious, and I might have to go to the bakery now because we've been talking about cake.
Now we're talking about cake. This is getting nuts. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's totally epic. I love that. And it's funny. Everybody's interpretation of a resource is different. And that's why I think it's such a valuable question to ask, because everybody's perspective is going to be different, and then everybody's perspective now is different than it was in the past. So in knowing that, if we got in our time machine right now, right, our me, myself, and I time capsule, and we transcended and we took a step back in time, and you were 21 again, what do you think something you would tell your 21-year-old self?
Well, there's a number of things that I would tell my 21-year-old self. First, I would start by explaining that my body was going to do amazing things, so I should really stop hating it so much. That would have saved me a lot of aggravation. Also, I would have told myself that in just a few short years, you will meet the most amazing person you ever will meet in your entire life. So stop trying to hang out with all these fools. And then
hooligans.
So many bad choices. And then also I probably would have told myself to stop drinking the blue and purple drinks and go find some real beer, because the crappy beer and all those fruit drinks, whew, I could have had some better evenings.
Yeah, many hungover days and nights, and
yeah, and what's the point of that? Like, I'm a beer podcaster, and I don't think that you should ever have a hangover. Like, that's not the purpose of beer. And if I could go tell my 21-year-old self that, my 22nd birthday would have been a lot better. Whew, that was a rough night.
Awesome. That's so awesome,
Yeah.
Minette. I really appreciate that, and also for you taking the time today. So if anybody connected with what you said, and I know that they did just as much as I did, where should we send them? Where's the podcast, and where would you like people to come check you out at?
Yeah, so a great place. I'm obviously on all the podcast catchers. That's just like where the cool kids hang out. But if you go to greatbeeradventure.com, you can find links to all of our social media, the show, however many episodes. We're well over 80 at this point. And you can also, if you want to, feel free to email me. We can chat about drinking good beer, or being sad, or how we can become better parents together, anything.
Cool. That's awesome. I actually have a Great Beer Adventure sticker on my desk.
Oh, do you have a new one or an old one?
I got it at the conference. I don't know.
Good.
Yeah. So every time I podcast, we get to be with each other.
Oh, that's fabulous. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it's cool.
I just wanted to say also to you, congrats on the book. I think that's wonderful and amazing. And also congrats on the recent engagement. That is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been we went out with a bang in 2016, to say the least. So this year is looking pretty good. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah, 2017, I am going to kick butt, and I hope everybody else is too. You just got to keep trying.
I love that. I always like to close out the show, Amanda, to tell everybody that's listening that, no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what your circumstances, your obstacles, this journey of self-discovery that we're all on, that the only thing you can do is to control the controllable. As for the rest, keep on flowing and just be. This has been me, myself, and I, Anthony Hayes, with Amanda Doughty. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Me, Myself, and I Radio with your host, Anthony Hayes. Tune in next time.
Tell me